So I'm going to have a conversation now with Laura Hoy. And I personally describe Laura as probably one of the most grounded people that I know, and who walks very gently on this earth. And we'll sort of know a little bit more about Laura in a short while. We actually met through our fondness of aromatherapy. I've got one of her beautiful essential oils, Lime, actually here with me this afternoon to keep me vibrant. Laura's actually the owner of Essential Oils and You. And this is based in Brighton. She's an essential oil consultant and also clinical aromatherapist. But she has a really wonderful mission. And that mission is actually to teach you how to use essential oils for support, for care, and for nurture, and in your everyday life. So it's not about just special occasions. This is about bringing aromatherapy into your everyday life. So welcome, Laura Hoy.
Hi, Claire. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. I'm going to get straight into the questions if that's okay. And I have to go straight to your gift wrap. Your gift wrap on your products is just exquisite. I had this little container of Laura's ribbons, Laura's tissue paper. So I recycle wherever possible as well and reuse those items. But there has to be a story behind that gift wrap. It's just stunning every single time I order an oil. Tell me about it.
Well, there isn't really a story as such. It's more just my natural way, I suppose. I do have a box in front of me of ribbons and tissue paper. But yeah, I guess the oils themselves are really, really precious. There's a whole load of stuff that goes behind making them. And when I decided to put together my own range, it was just a natural kind of thing to want the packaging and just the labeling and the bottles and everything to kind of show how precious the oils are. So yeah, it was a real joy to work with a designer who helped me just to put the labels together. And I've put a lot of gold in there. It's a little bit bling, but
it is a bit bling, you're right.
And
tinsel at Christmas.
Yeah, but and it's that just when you asked me that question, it made me think about when I receive something in the post, even if I'm just ordering from a supplier, the way that comes, it has such an impression. And sometimes I've had stuff that's been so badly wrapped, and when I open it, it does make my heart sink a bit, and I'm just like, oh. But when it's the opposite, when I get something and you can tell someone's thought about the way the box that it comes in, every little detail's been considered, and it just makes such a difference to how you feel about receiving that product, and then how you're going to use it as well, because you can feel that there's a preciousness and a quality that's gone into that. And I used to run an essential oil company, and I can remember sometimes seeing the way things got wrapped and realizing that I obviously had quite a level of care that I wanted to go into that packaging. Yeah. And anyway, we talked about it with the staff, and I ended up having a little poster in the packaging room that said, please pack everything as if you were putting it together for a dear friend. So that was like a little reminder for everyone that every order we sent out was going to someone, and they were going to receive that, and it would have an impact on their day sometimes. And so
you're absolutely right. And it doesn't matter if it's, a simple bottle of lavender, it's the respect, isn't it, that you're showing. And actually this probably answers one of my latest questions, and I'm sure we'll come back to it, that's part of customer care and is part of the reason that potentially people do come back to shop with you as well, as as an independent business. And I remember receiving shea butter for the first time. I was so excited. I'd found, raw organic shea butter. But when I received it, I had to ring the company and actually say, can I just check this is how it's meant to come? Because it was literally just rattling around in a tub that was way bigger than the quantity that I'd ordered. And I was like, I was so disappointed, and I just wasn't sure about the quality, and all these questions were going over in my mind, and I've had shea butter a few different times where it's been packed that way, and I felt so disappointed, but so respectful of the plant, and almost sort of apologizing that it had such a rough journey. And wanted to see it gift wrapped in the way that you present, products. So, I for one really, really do appreciate every time that you wrap it. So thank you.
It's a pleasure. I love doing it.
I bet you do. I bet you wrap the best presents as well. You could probably be wrapping a piece of popcorn and it would still be amazing. But Laura, could you talk me through your journey with scent? We both know the power of aroma and how special it is, how it can, put somebody in a state of calm, groundedness, energy, whatever it, of course, that oil brings that person, but it can do it just like that. But can you tell me specifically what your own personal journey is with scent, and how maybe it's influenced your own life, and perhaps maybe share some testimonials from others that have, enjoyed your oils, what impacts their aromatherapy has?
It's funny because I suppose a lot of people assume that I would have some super smelling nose or some sort of skill or connection to scent. But if I think back to, especially when I was younger, um, I I just I used to wake up every morning and blow my nose constantly until I left the house, and I guess I was a bit hyper allergic to various things. We had cats, and um, yeah, no, that was very helpful. I lived in a house where people smoked, and my sense of smell was certainly not acute. And I, yeah, I, I don't really remember too much about like having anything really deeply
Significant in the childhood.
yeah, but I definitely, looking back, I can see that I'm definitely where I should be. That there are a few things that, like different jobs that I can see I was obviously supposed to be heading in this direction. My first ever job when I left college, I studied graphic design, and I was in a pub talking to a friend about my CV. She was helping me with it, and somebody overheard us and said, "Oh, do you know what? There's we could do with somebody in our office. I can put your details forward if you like." And it was Coty, which is a very
Wow.
old perfume company,
Yeah.
and I did some work there for a while, but nothing really came of it. And I had a few various jobs in administration and various businesses, and I finally ended up working for a company that held all the rights to sell lots of really big brand perfumes like Gucci and Mont Blanc and Yardley
Classics.
and yeah, I mean, I loved it, but it wasn't until um, I kind of got a little bit stressed out with life, and my body started giving me messages that I needed to look after it a lot more and take care of it. And
Sure.
that's when I started to do exactly that, look after myself, and yeah, just be much more aware of all the things that were affecting me. I actually had really bad eczema, and which made me look at my diet and all the products I was using, and I actually cut anything that was perfumed out for a few years because I didn't want it to irritate my skin.
So really neutralized everything, sort of flatline that smell.
Yeah, and I'd been away working in Australia for a bit, and I was coming back to England, and I knew that something needed to change, and I'd done a bit of research on some different kind of more holistic ways of looking after yourself, and I basically came back to London and looked at a whole load of different courses, because I really felt strongly that I wanted to learn more and go into the kind of healthcare industry.
Yeah.
And I did look at a lot of courses, but the aromatherapy course that I chose just, it was like, oh wow, this is all about plants. This is all about the body. I get to go back to all the anatomy and massage. I'd always loved doing massage even when I was a kid. Like, oh wow, this has got everything. And I have to say, I didn't particularly think about the smell so much. And it's something that's built
Okay.
over my journey since studying. It's developed, and I have got a much more acute sense of smell now, but it is because I've just increased my awareness. And so yeah, I found that really interesting, that really anyone could develop it just
Yes.
by bringing an awareness. And
Mm.
literally now I can't walk past someone's garden if they've got rosemary or roses sticking out of the
You can't
wall
resist.
without smelling it. And yeah, I just adore it. It is I think for a lot of people it doesn't kind of hit their radar generally. It's there all the time, but maybe they're not quite so aware of it as they could be.
Yes. And that
And
could be all sorts of reasons. Like you say, that environment of, perhaps living in a household that smokes, or, there's allergies, or, maybe the food, you're not adding spices and things, you're not exposed to that sort of variety of aromas that can come your way and sort of shape it. So actually, it sounds like you went for perhaps more of the functionality of aromatherapy, sort of the knowledge behind the oils as opposed to the smell. Is that right? If I interpreted that correctly?
there's probably a bit of everything.
Mm.
Yeah, I was fascinated with the plants themselves as well and their
Mm.
qualities.
Yes.
But yeah, just the more that I kind of discovered and played around with them, and especially working with clients and watching the way they respond, I
Yes.
have to say that's what really kind of captured my flame, or however I could describe it, is
Yeah.
watching how people respond when they smell something, or when they um, when they make a product, or
Yeah.
I really
Yeah,
loved.
what they're attracted to, because that's some of your workshops, isn't it? As they self-select some of
Yeah,
those oils, and there's some reasonings behind it, I'm sure.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's been fun, and I feel like I get more and more out of it the more I play with it, the more I learn. So yeah, it was definitely a fabulous choice for me to do that.
You definitely fell on the right thing for sure. It's and also that playfulness with the oils. You are taught originally to be quite structured in the way that you blend, but you start to become a little bit more intuitive, about what's going to work for that individual, don't you? Over time, it's just all these little things start to piece together, and then you have this expansive repertoire of your customers, and how they respond. That builds again your knowledge about the oil. So it takes you on another path that's not even written in textbook. It's just about experiences. So that's really lovely for you to share all of those things. So what kind of led you now to have essential oils and your very own business, selling products and hosting workshops? What led you to sort of take that leap?
It was a very kind of natural process. I definitely did not plan it. I certainly couldn't have imagined myself doing any of it really when I studying. I kind of assumed I'd be massaging in a clinic, and that just didn't happen. I discovered NHR organic oils when I was studying, and
Mm.
um, I wrote to the company and asked for a job, and um, it kind of tied in perfectly when I finished all my study hours. That I got a phone call and was offered a job to come in and manage the company, which was
Amazing.
amazing.
That's a leap of faith in itself, just sending your CV and saying, I'd like a job with you specifically.
Yeah, and it was such an amazing opportunity for me because I just learned so much, and I had a lot of freedom to grow the business, and had so much client interaction, and the company it was really just me working there when I started, and I built a team up of about 10 people after about 7 years. It just grew a lot, I think, because it was an organic company and it was Soil Association certified.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of small businesses were wanting to go down that route. So yeah, but I had such fascinating customers, and I got to teach the staff all about the oils, so they felt confident to do what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then the company grew to a point where I couldn't be as hands-on as I originally was. I still loved working there. It was really amazing opportunity. Did get to learn a lot about sourcing the oils as well, which is really important.
Yes.
And the quality of the oils and what people wanted as well. So yeah, it was great. But there was a point where I felt like, oh, okay, I'm doing lots of accounts, doing lots of marketing, doing lots of sort of management, and I was missing the more practical elements of it. And I'd done a lot of workshops with the staff. We'd opened them up to our customers and the public as well. And I'd started to volunteer so that I could do massage and see clients outside of that work as well.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, oh, this is the bit that I know I'm really, these are where all my skills are. And I feel like I kind of need to shift something, because even though I love running a company, yeah, I kind of wasn't doing what I was supposed to do.
Yeah,
I could have
absolutely.
stayed there forever, I'm sure. I really enjoyed myself as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like, okay, yeah, there's something more that I need.
Yeah. It's a natural evolution by the sounds of it, that it was just natural for you to just take that next step and that next leap.
Yeah, it was. And I really do love teaching. I love running the courses. I love that interaction with people.
Tell me a little bit more about that. What do you hope to achieve with those workshops? You know, I love that some of the names of them: botanical alchemy. I mean, it's so inviting. Some of the locations that you go to as well are just like outstanding. And I've done a workshop with you in the lavender farm, and it's just some really special places. But what do you really hope comes out of those workshops? What's your intention when you put those out into the world?
Well, I guess it's definitely a certain kind of person that will come to my workshops. They're very, very, yeah, they're usually in a place that has a real connection to plants, which is definitely on purpose, because I want people to understand where the oils come from in a very practical way. So I don't think I've ever used a slideshow or anything like that.
No.
I would like to make it really visceral and get people involved, learning themselves without me sort of just telling them stuff. So yeah, I guess making sure that the place that we do the workshop in really supports that.
For sure.
The nature of the workshops are usually they're going to make something. So there is a natural process of what we have to do. So I want them to know about the ingredients and understand like how amazing and precious they are. What they're going to make is going to be exquisite. But it's really kind of that all happens naturally without me thinking too much. But the really important thing is that I prepare myself and I prepare the space that we work in. really like with the packaging, with like attention to every little detail. So when I'm preparing for a workshop, I kind of go into a ritual, even the way I pack all my equipment up, because there'll be loads of stuff to bring. Even the way like I prepare myself the night before, I just want to be really steady and really prepared. And will always be super early, because sometimes I don't know what I'm going to walk into. Like the place could be filthy, I might need to clean everything, and I might not really know what I'm going to have. So I need to kind of figure out how I'm going to set the room up so it really supports the group.
Yes.
And that's really key. Like, so when they walk in, they feel really supported, really at ease. They can really like let their body surrender, because when I give them the opportunity to start trying the oils, the more settled they are within themselves, the more they can connect to their own response to what's happening. So there's no way I can tell them that. It's for them to feel. So if I've like made sure I can be in a place where whatever's thrown at me, because you know things always
Events can do that for sure.
Yeah, but if they get to the best opportunity to really feel their own body, what they want, what they like, so that they feel at ease and they can ask loads of questions and share loads of what they're experiencing when they try stuff out, then the workshops really flow, and I feel like they get more out of it if I kind of hold the space as well as I can, rather than trying to pump them full of information, because a lot of it is really kind of natural. They'll smell something and they'll go like, oh, okay, I feel this, or this is happening in my body. And then if they're really confident in what they're feeling and experiencing, when it comes to designing a perfume or choosing what to put in a cream, then they feel really confident. So they're just like, yeah, I want that, and I love this. And so what they end up making is they're usually really gorgeous, and they really love it. And then they get to take that home with them. And so even after the workshop, I don't know what happens afterwards, and I try and get feedback, but yeah, I don't have any control over that. So if they've had the most enriching time during the workshop, then when they walk away, hopefully that will stay with them. And when they use the product, they'll be able to connect to that kind of nurturing, that space where they really were with themselves and with their body. And every time they use that, then they have the opportunity to go back and really just really nurture themselves. I feel like that's how I feel at the workshops. I just
It's
love
what people need. I think actually we're in this sort of place where we have expectations of education and teaching and being taught, but not necessarily that lovely explorative approach, or that kind of freedom or space with which to, you know, be led by your sense of smell, you know, and like you say, to really feel it. And it definitely left a lasting impression on me. This pagoda in the middle of a lavender field, I mean, it brought nature to life. There was a real connection, like you said, between the plants that are in these lovely bottles to those, of course, plants that are growing out there in nature. And you just put this, like, you know, treasure chest of oils in front of us, you know, and you could just it was like, oh, I had access to all these different things, and you were noticing the colors, and oh, it was a beautiful experience, and it definitely leaves a lasting impression. And you know, it's really lovely actually to hear the behind the scenes part of your thinking when you prepare these workshops. It's really special. And I see time and time again testimonials on your website about how people have connected, and how they go on to use their products afterwards. So thank you for sharing that behind the scenes. Now there's clearly a very special oil in your life. I see the odd rose or two come up on your feed, you know, and you talk about roses occasionally. So so I'd love to know why roses have such a special part in your life, because I've noticed you've even growing your own. You've been trying to distill your own. I mean, I'd love to know a little bit more about why rose is so special.
Yeah, that's a hard question, actually. I mean, it's sort of like, well, what, doesn't everyone see that?
Yeah, I was just about to say, why not, Claire?
But actually, I suppose scented roses, not everyone would have access to that. And actually, that's why I grow them, because on my balcony in pots, which is very, very difficult.
Need a bit of TLC out there.
Yeah, it's top of a hill. It's very windy, and yeah. But when a rose smells, I just adore it. It's so heavenly. But I'm sure a lot of what I get out of them, people would be able to connect to with other plants, maybe other flowers, or even other things in their life. But it really represents nurturing to me.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. There's so many connotations to it. I love how like I love how they grow from like their little buds, and the more that they open up, you sort of can't believe that they're going to keep on opening up, and they even look stunning when they're kind of aging, and then you get amazing rose hips as well. And so
and that's kind of it's like you were saying, you know, your journey to scent actually was perhaps the fascination around the plant itself. You know, the essential oil in the smell is an absolute bonus, but it's your fascination with watching this plant grow and blossom and, you know, open up, and you're wondering how many layers of petals are going to be coming through on that plant. That seems to be what brings it to life for you.
yeah, and I think all plants will have different qualities. Like with the essential oils, there's so many different ways they can support us. But I mean, rose is incredibly popular, and it's one of the most expensive. It takes a vast amount of flowers to make a tiny amount of oil. So I wouldn't be able to grow enough to distill myself, but I can capture the scent in an oil, which is really satisfying. But yeah, it's an oil that it's just so nurturing, really, really. Like it's got a sacredness to it, and it really feels like it just deepens that. So I do use it a lot, even though it's super, super pricey.
Expensive. I bet the gift wrap goes next level.
Just thinking about gift wrapping in rose petals.
Laying on a bed of love it. And why not? Why not, indeed? And it, you know, it brings it back to life, because I think sometimes when we, you know, get into our bottled aromatherapy, sometimes we do lose that connection with the plant itself. So it's great that you really nurture that and bring that alive, you know, and certainly get that across in your venues with your workshops. So, you know, Hever Castle is one of the other places, isn't it, that you've done some workshops. I mean, beautiful spaces. So
yeah.
So you've been I think it's fair to say deeply passionate about this sort of independent business out there, and getting people in the community to support local, support, you know, independents, you know, support small businesses. What do you think it takes to convince someone to shop with an independent over, you know, a larger chain or a larger business? You know, what do you think is the magic that keeps people shopping with yourself and shopping with, you know, like-minded individuals?
It's usually probably easier to connect with an independent or a small business. Like you usually get more interaction. I mean, for me, having run my own business, I know the amount of work that it takes. I mean, I love it. So to me, I don't mind working 7 days a week, and it's kind of just fine because I really adore it. But I feel like kind of highlighting what goes into a small business, and the amount of work that somebody, whether they're running a cafe or making their own clothes, whatever they're doing, it's huge dedication. And I think when someone appreciates that, then the product itself becomes more precious. And I know you can still have that with a big company. It's probably a little bit rarer. But yeah, I feel like it's really important for people to just bring a bit of understanding to what goes into all the bits.
The bits behind the scenes. Do you think it's important to share the, you know, the blood, sweat and tears? Do you think it's important to show the highs, the lows, you know, behind the scenes of your business? Do you think that's important?
I think if you're a consumer, understanding what like all the little details that someone is doing to make your product is quite fascinating. And I know that when I've got to know somebody who's making their own whatever it is, food, clothes, I don't know, it really it builds the relationship with that person anyway, and that means that I want to support them, and yeah, and then I kind of see what goes into making something as well, and appreciate it so much more. So I guess it's really made me think, well, often you could buy something cheaper somewhere else, but I would much rather spend a bit more and know that what I'm getting has got that quality and and all of that intention that that person's put into it.
Yeah.
So I think you get a lot more out of it when you shop local, just like getting to know somebody and having that in your life. Like I have been building relationships with different independents over the years, not with the purpose of collaborating, but it happened naturally because I've just like I think one of my first workshops was in a florist's workshop. And she talked to me about other workshops that were happening. I was like, oh wow, I'd love to do that. And somebody else who makes her own clothes, she's just made some silk eye masks and she's selling them with my lavender oil to support sleep. And I think more magic can happen when there's that intimate relationship with someone. And it might just be your greengrocer, but probably have a bit more of a quality relationship with them. And I'm sure you can get it at a supermarket as well with the people that work there, but I don't know, it just seems to be more natural, more.
Yeah. And I think partnerships are really powerful. You know, it is that supportive element as opposed to sort of, you know, a competitive element. It's just really collaborating, supporting each other, and sometimes you just find some magic, some sort of unexpected, you know, like-minded thinking, and something that fits so beautifully. You know, the eye mask with the lab. I mean, it's just so fitting, isn't it? It's a natural, like you say, very organic sort of fit in terms of a partnership. So thank you so much for sharing, you know, all these wonderful insights behind the scenes, but I'm not going to let you go, if that's okay, until I've asked you some quick fire questions. There's just a couple of things that I'd love to know. You know, first of all, can you let me know what your all-time favorite book is? Now, it could be a recent book, or it could be something that is something that you just swear by, that you maybe go back to reread. What would it be?
Oh, well, I was thinking this question would be on topic on aromatherapy, and my all-time favorite book, oh, that's a bit tough. So I wanted to say my book at the moment, which it's called Modern Cosmetics, and there's a whole group of amazing scientists and researchers put this together.
Yes.
And it's just so beautifully put together, amazing pictures, and really, really useful information on loads of botanical ingredients, which I use all the time for.
Brilliant. So kind of one of those ones you can delve in and just get the information that you really want at that time, in that moment.
Yeah, if I need to know what qualities sea buckthorn has and I can't remember, I just
yes
check it
delve
out.
in. That looks like a nice beast, of a book that, would just have, it's like a Bible of aromatherapy. It looks like there's some plants, so it brings it alive.
Yeah, it's very useful. Yeah.
And then also when it comes to self-care, now I appreciate you must have 1,000,001 different self-care tips, but what self-care thing do you think everybody should do without question?
I guess it's to really listen to your body and trust it. So, we're given loads of advice and tips on self-care, especially right now.
Yeah.
But I think everybody can tune into what their body really needs if they just give themselves a little moment to check in with their body. And it could be related to anything: exercise, what you're going to eat, when you're going to go to bed. But it's really honoring what your body tells you. It'll always tell you if you're willing to listen. So
yes, it's so true, isn't it? If you pause for long enough to listen, it's very wise, your body. So last question is, what one thing have you deeply learned about yourself during the pandemic that maybe you didn't realize before? Is there anything sort of personally that you've deeply learned?
yes, this is a good one. So I I'm pregnant, so I'm about 16 weeks pregnant now. And something that I always clocked in clients who were pregnant was how much more willing they were to look after themselves and to
Yeah,
really,
sure.
really go into that nurturing. But then getting to experience it myself, the first 3 months, I was so sick, so exhausted. And so the thing that I've learned through that is that sometimes I just have to accept that I can't do anything and I just have to rest, and
Yes.
that's okay. Like to that, yeah, I guess it's the same as my self-care tip.
Yeah.
You have to listen to your body, and if you can honor that, then it's really, really, it's the best thing for your body because it's telling you.
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually probably the most intuitive time of my life was being a mum, and before even being a mum, just being pregnant. The intuition that you feel, this knowing of, actually it sort of, I would say, brings you back into this zone of looking after yourself. It helps you self-care because you're responsible for another individual. Growing a human being in your belly is no small feat, so it's incredible what you've gained, and how you can further that intuitiveness
Yeah,
about
I
yourself.
definitely, I can definitely see how it is a lot easier to make choices when you're considering someone else as well.
Yeah.
But really, we can do that for ourselves. But
Mm.
genuinely, for me, I got flatlined with the sickness, and
Mm.
it's so unusual for me not even to be able to do any work. But
Yes.
just having to accept that was actually massive. That all I could do was lie on the sofa for
Brenda.
weeks. And yeah, so not to think that it should be any different. That is only what my body can do at that time.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. What beautiful news to learn during this time, of extreme intensity during the pandemic and so much loss of life. To hear of a new life being born is just really, really special. So thank you so much for sharing it with us today.
Pleasure.
And, taking part in this project, together, in our lifetime, we could end world hunger. I mean, how about that? That's no small feat as well. So thank you for sharing, your wise words and just your insights and just being very authentic and open with us today. I really appreciate it. Take care, Laura.
Thank you, Claire.
Bye.